In this episode, resident co-host Debbie and I discuss the mini-documentary Phone Calls from the Dead. We talk about the multiple experiences that people have had of getting phone calls from people who have already passed away. Is it real? Should someone tell them about texting? What kind of boundaries can we give a ghost about calling us unnecessarily from beyond? We explore all this and so much more. Enjoy. I'm just a girl in front of a mic asking people to watch weird shit with me. Welcome to... Wait, what are you watching?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on the season premiere episode of Wait, What Are You Watching? We're at season 3, bitches. A paranormal comedy podcast where I text and call both the living and the dead inside and ask them to watch a strange documentary with me and then come back on the show to talk about it. I'm your host, Elaine Cheney, and today my first guest co-host of 2024 is a resident co-host and host of Not a Life Coach podcast, Debbie W. What, Delby? Debbie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
My tongue doesn't work in 2024.
I like Delby though. That's cute. It's
Delby.
Like that actually sounds like adorable, which I am anything but. But that
Aww.
just that gives like such a Delby. Oh, you know.
Delby. It's a happy accident.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you before we came on and you're like, what?
And before you called me like some foreign exchange student's name.
Oh, that is a foreign exchange student's name.
It is. It is.
Get
I think
it,
I had Delby in homeroom.
She was from Switzerland.
Yeah. Very nice girl.
Is Not a Life Coach podcast still on?
This is such a great question. I'm glad you asked.
So I know you guys took a hiatus because you and Joey were both very busy.
We were super busy. So I was finishing and defending my dissertation. I am now Dr. Delby. And
oh my God, that is officially your name this season, Dr.
Delby. And Joey was finishing the audio version of his book, and he was like relaunching some of his novel series, and and then obviously doing all of his promotion for the current novel, Wolf is Free. So that took up a lot of time. So whether we come back, that's kind of the question. I mean, I think we would like to, but we're also kind of getting more serious, I think, about launching some of the other things that we're doing together. And so I think if we come back, it probably won't be exactly the same. However, I have some ideas for things that we would really like to talk about if we come back. I really want to introduce a segment called Red Flag Rewind.
Oh my God.
Where we go back and we talk about, okay, what was a red flag? And it could be like in a job, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a whatever. But it was like one of those early signs that like, ooh, this is not going the way we intended, and how we missed it and what we would have done differently.
I would like to request to be the first guest on that.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Holy
so
shit,
yeah, I mean, like I
love that Red Flag Rewind.
Yeah, we do want to come back, but exactly what that looks like and when, we're not sure yet, but you'll know. We'll start coming back to like Instagram and all that kind of stuff when we relaunch. Yeah.
And obviously, listeners, I'll announce it here and on my Instagram as well. So it's part of the To the Left production company and family. All right. Okay. So it's New Year's, and this is how we choose to party, Debbie.
So wild.
So wild. What did you do for the eve?
We didn't do jack shit. We did not do a goddamn thing for New Year's Eve. It was great. We were asleep early. We pretended like it wasn't happening. It was fantastic. And then this morning, my son had some like little tiny firecracker things that he got from the neighbor, and we did that. We did a lot of cleaning. That's the sad truth is we cleaned the house. Isn't that awful?
No, it's not because we didn't do jack shit either because I had work. And it was fucking crowded. Like I'm looking at these people like, really? Really? Hearst Castle, New Year's Eve? Okay.
Wow. That does
out,
seem
Debbie.
really
Sold out.
on New Year's Eve. Like I understand Christmas, like or coming up to Christmas, but New Year's Eve seems like a very odd day.
That's what I thought.
Do that.
Yeah. So I came home and we have like our usual, like we don't do dinner, we do appetizers kind of situation.
Yeah. You have kind of a cool tradition.
Yeah, because it's just kind of like picking and eating. We don't do like a huge meal. And obviously we're not doing parties where I'm literally like, oh, I'm back in pajamas immediately. And I actually fell asleep on the couch at like 6. Okay, 6:30.
Whoa, that is even earlier than I was asleep. That's impressive.
No, but it was like a nap. And then I woke up.
Was it an unintentional nap?
It was an unintentional.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and Brad was sleepy by like 10. So he went to bed. I made it till noon because I had the nap.
Right.
And I was watching a show, which was actually a really cool way to bring in New Year. I was watching something called The Longest Third Date on Netflix. Have you seen it?
What is that? No.
It's a documentary of this couple who met on Hinge, okay? And first and second date went off fabulously. He then texts her and says, damn, like flights to Costa Rica are really cheap right now. They're like $200. You want to go, ha? And she's like, sure, why not? So they bought tickets to Costa Rica.
They're young, huh?
Oh, they're young.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have responsibility. Like they have jobs. They're like probably in their late 20s, maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But, no kids or anything. So they go to Costa Rica and the fucking world shuts down.
Oh.
And then basically he was a little bit, I was already like, oh no, you're stuck with this guy. Nice guy, but like documented everything because he had his own YouTube.
Yeah.
And she's just like, leave. But it was such a sweet story though. Like
really,
oh my God. I was like, I mean, because the way that they got along, but like it went from, hey, we're gonna stay in Costa Rica for like a week, and it ended up 3 months.
Wow.
Right. 3 or 4 months.
That's trial by fire right there.
Absolutely. And he ended up being the nicest guy. And when you get her background of all the other guys that she's been with, it's like she needed this guy. It was really cute. Really cute.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I'll try and watch it. That sounds good.
Yeah, because I didn't know what to watch, and I'm like, oh, whatever. I read about this couple, and I wanted to see like what had happened because I'd only read when it was happening.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know what became of them.
I haven't watched a lot of new series lately. I've been I've actually been reading more books for fun than I have in a while.
Nice.
Which was, oh my gosh. Me, Myself, and Imposter Syndrome. Oh gosh. I forgot who, how I am with names. I can tell she's the voice of the little kid who dresses like a bear on the Great North.
Yes,
she's a stand-up comedian. She's hilarious.
Yes, and, I know exactly who she is.
Yeah, and she wrote this book called Unreliable Narrator, Me, Myself, and Imposter Syndrome. God, I wish I had it here so I could tell you who the author was. Best book I have read in so long. It was so good.
It was a bio or what?
Yeah, it was an autobiography. But it was also very funny. very poignant, really interesting. She brought in some research about like imposter syndrome and mental illness and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was very real, and it was such a good book. I think because just about anybody on the planet can get something from it, because either you relate to her in some way,
Yeah.
or if you can't relate to her in some way, it's a fantastic insight into somebody who's different from you. It was
Right.
so good. Everybody should read that book.
Okay, I'm gonna put that down. Me, myself, and imposter syndrome. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
it's called Unreliable Narrator, Me, Myself, and Imposter Syndrome. And
Nice.
I don't know, maybe you can like splice in the name when you look
Yeah,
it up, because I feel terrible that I don't know her name. But you know how
I
I am
will.
with names. I'm
And it'll
so
be
bad
like
with that.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Splice it
Yeah.
in. Yeah, it's funny because there's like a lot of things that I was wanting to do for the podcast and also like just my regular TikTok. Like I wanted to do the best stuff because I've read and slash listened to a lot of books this last year too.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is really good. But I swear I still don't think ahead of time to do like a best of. You know, like the best and
Mm-hmm.
worst docs. It was in my head. I'm gonna do my best and worst documentaries of 2023. But I think I'll do that this year.
Yeah.
So, like what documentary that you watched last year with me? You were on for like three, like I think like three times.
Yeah. I
Like
was
what
on a
stands
few
out?
times. I think the one that I think that, well, oh my gosh. I really liked the one where they were at the amusement park, the ghost hunters.
Yeah. Oh
Was it ghost
yeah.
hunters? Is that right? Where they were
Yeah.
at the amusement park. I thought that was really a good one. But I think my favorite one was probably when I was on with Joey, and it was all the stories from the London Underground.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was probably the most interesting because there were so many different stories, but they had some overlap, and it was
Yeah.
historical and modern. I thought that was cool.
So I don't know, I didn't say it yet, but the probe is now reserved for the listeners. So every day, listeners, not every day, but every week, I will have a probe question on my Instagram and also on my TikTok stories. So you answer the probe, your answers will be on the show. If you don't answer, there's no probe. Well, I will make up a probe. I don't care. There will always be a probe. I'm too used to the probe. But I didn't think of a probe today and I forgot to post something up. So way to go to start the year. I have all
That's
these
an auspicious start. I
right. I
like
have
it.
the all
Yeah.
these lofty fucking plans. But anyways, whatever. We'll get right down to it because me and Debbie chose a YouTube clip, not clip. It's like a YouTube
It's a
show.
documentary. It's a mini documentary.
It's a mini documentary. Well,
Yeah.
listeners, I've done bedtime stories on YouTube. I love their content. And this one in particular is called Phone Calls from the Dead, which I was
God.
so down for.
This was really funny. It made me chuckle like 2 minutes in.
Right. Well, because I was like, damn, like I don't like to get phone calls anyway. And then it's like, how
Yeah.
rude. Like you're gone. What are you doing?
Right. Don't you have better things to do?
I'm like, come on, don't call people. So that this is the whole premise of this, which there's very interesting stories, but I got more because I got so into it because I didn't know there's enough phone calls from the dead that there was a book about it.
What?
There was a book about it
Are
in
you serious?
yes, in 1979. Some of these stories came from this book. It's called Phone Calls from the Dead by Raymond Bayless and D. Scott Rogo. That's like, yeah. So let's first get
They didn't,
into
because
it.
they didn't get into that many in this.
Yeah, it was 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so first of all, I love bedtime stories because I don't know how they do it, but the still pictures, but still making it interesting when it's like literally a couple of still pictures.
Yeah.
It's always great to me. Whoever the artist is, and again, the accent on the narrator.
It's precious.
It makes it legit.
Yeah.
So the first story was Bonnie McConnell, who was cooking and her phone rang on a Sunday evening and she's like preparing dinner. I know what you're going to talk about. I already know what you're laughing about.
Oh, go on.
So she couldn't answer because she had foodstuffs on. Is that what you were laughing about? What is that? So okay, and let me shit on her face. Like not shit. So
food, right? But like the way that he described it, there was too much foodstuffs on her fingers. And so like what I'm picturing in my mind is somebody who has like dipped their hand in like, you know, like a sticky dough or like,
right.
you know, so she has these mittens of like pancake batter or something. Like just like holding up her hands dripping with gunk.
I can't answer the phone.
The phone. Help me.
Well, and the thing too was like it's so serious. Like
it's phone calls from the dead, and the immediate picture he paints is just fucking absurd and chaotic and hilarious.
Because like you get the serious vibe, you get the story, you get the soundtrack, and the accent, right?
Yeah.
Bonnie McConnell couldn't answer the phone because of the foodstuffs on her fingers. I'm like,
she wanted nothing more to answer the phone, but alas, she could not.
Damn the foodstuffs on my fingers, she proclaimed.
And like I could just see her like yelling at her husband because like she has stuff on her fingers, can't answer the phone, and he's in the other room. And I could just picture her like, get the goddamn phone.
You know, like back in the day when the phone would ring and like you think somebody else would answer it and nobody does. You know, you're like, somebody answer the phone. Like I could totally picture her doing that.
Yes, 100%.
So her husband picked up the phone and then offered the phone to her because he said it was an old friend named Enid. Okay. And I'm sure she wiped the foodstuffs off of her fingers.
Meanwhile, while Bonnie's hosing herself up. Oh God.
So she picks up the phone and she was happy because she hadn't spoke to Enid in a year. And they're talking and Enid's like, I'm doing well. I'm in a nursing home. And guess what? The nursing home is closer to you. And Bonnie's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I'm going to visit you and bring some brandy on the way over. Dude, Bonnie's a good friend.
Bonnie is a good friend. She's like, I remember, like, we haven't talked in a long time, but I remember that you like this particular booze and I'm going to bring you some into the nursing home. Fuck them nurses.
I was going to say into the nursing home. Like Bonnie didn't give a fuck.
And like, you can tell by her name, Enid. That's like 100-year-old lady. There's not a 20-year-old Enid. There never has been. There never will be. You don't get that name until you turn a century old.
Oh my God. That's what's cracking me up. Because like, yeah, Enid was clearly older. And yeah, she was going to get Enid a tanks. My God. Oh, Enid is a baby. That's kind of adorable. Now, like
God,
Enid,
no.
like a little Enid, no?
I know. That can't happen. If you write that on a birth certificate, the birth certificate just spontaneously combusts. No baby's name Enid.
No baby's name Enid in 2024. Okay. And so she's like, I'm going to bring some brandy. And then Enid was like, oh, I have no need for such vices. And basically, go.
Okay, I'm just saying that's a little like judgy. Vices, pardon, excuse me, pleasures, maybe.
Right, a little drink.
Vices.
Nobody's saying it's a vice, Enid.
Come on, Enid.
Pardonzo beans. Pardonzo beans?
Pardonzo beans?
Vices? Um, so she ended the phone call, okay? But Bonnie's like, all right, whatever. I'm still gonna visit Enid. And I'm positive she still had brandy in her purse.
Oh, she pre-gamed for sure. Bonnie pre-gamed on the ride over. She came to Enid's, nursing home lit, ready to party.
Yep. And she's like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna make Enid drink. Like, there's gonna be some elderly abuse with the alcohol. Cause bitch, I'm not drinking alone. So she goes to the receptionist and she's like, hey, I'm here to see Enid. And they're like,
Oh.
They're
like, yeah, I hate this part of the job.
Right?
Good thing Bonnie brought brandy.
I'm just a temp. Oh my God. So they're like, Enid passed away. And
Bad
Bonnie's
news.
like, right? So bad news. Bonnie asked like how it happened because she had spoken to her the night before. And the receptionist is like, I thought I smelled brandy on your breath, bitch. Guess what? I was on duty when they found her deceased the morning before. So
yeah, it was like
that
hours
morning.
before the phone call. Yeah.
Right. So it was hours before the phone call. So Bonnie was like, I bet Bonnie just went out to the car and drank another one for good old Enid.
Pour one out for Enid.
Pour one out for Enid. She was ready. So as I was saying, that 1979 phone calls from the dead, they like broke it down. They talked to like a bunch of people that they gotten these stories from. And the phone call, they said, for most people, usually happens 24 hours after the person has passed. But also there's another group of people where it took like 2 years.
Yeah.
So the connection.
I love when they do this. Like, it's usually within 24 hours, but sometimes it's up to 2 years. There was a little, vagary happening. Like, sometimes it happens like this, and sometimes it happens completely differently.
It's okay. It's like when the cable company goes, we'll come between 1 and 8.
Right. Be ready.
Bitch. Yeah, and so they were making it like, okay, but it'll take 2 years, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so
maybe also they didn't have voicemail, and so like maybe they tried to call.
Or, they showed up and it fucking said scam likely. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Nobody answers scam likely. I didn't mean to call with that phone number. So
just FYI, I will never call you from the dead.
Please text me,
Yeah. I'm just going to randomly turn your TV to Bob's Burgers. That's the signal.
Okay. Oh, right. I think we've spoken of
yes,
our signals.
Yeah.
I forgot what mine was. I think I'm still deciding.
Okay.
So the callers usually, if whoever the dead are usually confused, or they talk about something cryptic or irrelevant topics, which is most people, right?
Yeah, I mean, that described most of our conversations. Like, I mean,
irrelevant topics.
Yeah, they're relevant in our own heads.
Absolutely. That's literally the first like 20 minutes of my every episode.
Yeah.
Just it's random irrelevant
stream
topics.
Of conscience, word association.
Yes, there you go. And they said the quality of the line was very poor. I mean, it's parallel universe. The fact that they could even get the phone call through, like, why don't you calm down on the quality?
We have Wi-Fi problems now.
Right. Because I live in like the most fucking random town in the Central Coast.
Oh my God. I can't imagine what the reception is like from the other side.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe we could just not be so hard on them. So static.
It did make a lot of like, what their voice sounded like, that it was robotic and staticky. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, Judgy.
I know.
They're trying to communicate from beyond the grave. Could you just cut them some slack? Jesus.
Like, geez, you're expecting so much. Yeah, because they said common for the voice to be muffled or metallic.
I mean, they are in a coffin.
Right.
So,
or in some other worldly whatever, which they probably don't even have like like a throat or anything. Throat.
They've shed their earthly meat bag.
Right, thank you. That's what I meant. So, anyways, and I'm just thinking like, these scientists are saying that like, that they're saying it's coming from if there's a way for ghosts to come to us as like a full-bodied apparition, why couldn't they tweak electricity and blah blah blah? But at the same time, you're kind of being judgy of like, oh, they sound metallic. Like, that's really hard to make a phone call using just energy and no opposable fucking thumbs. Like,
well, yeah, for real. I mean, like, they've never been dead before. You think they practiced this shit?
Yeah. They like harnessed all the energy they could possibly get to make a phone call and try to communicate. So sorry that the line is poor and I sound metallic, you son of a bitch. I'm really annoyed by that. And then the two scientists formed the opinion that it could be divided into two categories. I don't think this is an opinion. This is two categories.
Yeah.
Because right?
But they're two very broad categories.
Again, very broad. You could receive a call from someone who passed and they don't talk. Or you can receive a call
where they do talk.
And they do talk. Like, that's like,
did those categories really need to exist? I mean, honestly.
Right. I'm like, I don't know why they formed the opinion that it could be divided into two categories.
Yeah. I mean, controversial opinion that they could either talk or not talk.
Oh my God. That was at least, they were really trying to stretch this book out. I guarantee you that was like a 2-chapter explanation about how they came to be. So, anyways, so now,
how would you even first of all, how would they even know who they were getting a phone call from if this was like pre-1970? This was like 1970s or before. They didn't have caller ID. So if they didn't talk, how would they know who the call was from? It doesn't make any sense to me.
You're right. If they were not, you're right, because it was in the 70s. This was written in the 70s.
Pre-caller ID.
And pre-cell phone. So it couldn't be, anyways, I know.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Like, I know that ring. Like, yeah. How would you know? Like,
I know that metallic breathing. Chuck.
Oh, we miss Chuck. Oh, that old heavy breather.
Breathing.
Good old Chuck.
Good old Chuck. You open mouth breathing motherfucker, you. So they also were saying that like it could be that there is no actual telephone call, and we'll get more into that later.
They said that there's no, like, it doesn't show up on the bill, basically.
I mean,
they're like that's how they know, is that it didn't show up on the bill. They're manipulating time and space. They're like bending the universe to their will to make a phone call from beyond the grave. Like, you don't think they figured out how to cheat AT&T? Come on now.
Right. Like, exactly. And here's the evidence is in the next story. In 1969, Carl rented a cottage for a weekend vacation. Okay, two things. When they were talking, they were calling him a holiday maker. the holiday maker.
Anyone can make a holiday.
A Tuesday can be a holiday if you drink enough. You
should have gotten together with Bonnie. They would have made a great holiday.
Oh my God. And
instead of her like deadbeat husband who didn't answer the goddamn phone when she had food stuff on her pinkies.
Right. And the thing is too, it seemed like he was alone. So Carl has his own issues.
Yeah, which like honestly, and the way that they described it, I'm just picturing sort of like this cabin in the wilderness out in the woods with like just a stark bed and a single decorative phone on the table.
Right.
The old Victorian where you pick up the one piece and hold it to your ear and you talk into the other one that's sitting on the table.
Yes, because it like the way that they described the cabin, it seemed like there was just like nothing. It's going to be this cabin in the middle of the woods, maybe because Carl likes to, I don't know, put dead bodies in the forest. Like who goes
I mean,
there alone?
I'm not going to question Carl.
I'm not going to go with Carl either.
Right.
Carl, you do what you got to do. And it reminded me of when I went to training to this place called Asilomar. Have you heard of it? Asilomar?
I don't know.
It's like a convention center that was designed by Julia Morgan. It was designed for like the Young Women's Christian Association a long, long time ago for when women wanted to like start looking for work in the city, and it was a way for support and shelter and whatever. And it's very beautifully designed, but also they have not updated a damn thing since the 80s. Meaning there's a handset telephone, like a line, but I don't think it works. There's no TV. There's no fan. It is literally a bed and like a dresser and a tub. And it was so weird because it was like the quietest. I had my own little fan that I turned on so I could have some kind of noise.
You just needed some noise.
I needed some noise. And like I brought my phone and I was watching stuff with my phone, but it was just so, it was odd.
That's this cabin in the woods.
It's a cabin in the woods. Yeah. And that's what it reminded me of. And everyone thinks it's so quaint, but I'm like, I mean, not if you watched enough Dateline.
Yeah. And quaint is one of those, adjectives that you use when you're trying to be nice about something that's absolute shithole.
Exactly.
It's quaint.
It's a bless your heart, right? A bless your heart cabin. Bless your heart.
Yeah. Same like cozy, rustic.
Rustic. I've had a rustic Airbnb where there was no hot water and they called it rustic.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a whole other story. So he's in this cabin. God knows why. Never was explained. But there is an old school phone on the nightstand. And one night, the old school phone rang at 11:15 p.m. And so,
that would have scared the shit out of me.
Absolutely. Especially the ring of an old phone.
Yeah, because those things were really clangy.
Oh my God.
Ling.
Yeah. A phone call. It's the old man.
Just somebody shouting from beyond the grave. Ring, damn it. Ring.
Ring-a-ling-a-ding. I answer the phone. So 11:15 p.m. So of course, when you get a phone call super late at night, it's not good news.
Yeah.
So he's like, he picks it up and it was his dad on the other line. And his dad was saying, hey, your mom wants to speak to you. And he's like, okay, because he should be in bed with her.
Right. So just hand her the phone. Why? What is this middleman shit? Like, why are we doing this?
Right. And so his father kept talking as if he didn't hear him. My dad. I was like, oh.
Like, if you've ever had parents, this feels familiar. Like, there was no reason to be suspicious at this point.
Carl sounds like he had a father that listened to him. What's that like? So this is like weird for him because he was speaking and his father kept talking to him as if he didn't hear him. Whereas like if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh, well, yeah, this is on brand.
Right. But your dad would have handed over the phone immediately. Even if he doesn't matter.
Like literally mid-sentence, I'd be like talking to him about something and it's just like my mom all of a sudden.
How's life going? That's nice. Here's your mom.
We're Were you listening in on our phone calls? R.I.P. Pop. R.I.P. R.I.P. So he's like, well, just pass the phone over. But his dad didn't listen. And then finally, it was like, the dad finally said, like, I can't because I'm someplace beautiful, and hung up. Which, as a wife, I'd be like, now you're someplace beautiful. What? He was someplace beautiful, not with his mom.
Yeah. Like that was like, I think that would have alarmed me. I think what the part of this story that doesn't make sense to me, and maybe you'd have to know Carl's parents, but but like he's just like, that's weird, and then goes to sleep.
Right.
Because he doesn't leave until the next day.
He doesn't leave until this is what
I mean, maybe he
me.
hadn't finished burying the bodies, to be fair.
He was exhausted. Do you know how hard it is to dig a grave, even a shallow one? I don't know how hard it is. Please don't come at me. But I can only imagine it was taxing.
Yeah, so Carl needed his beauty sleep.
But I also was wondering that, because that is always my wonder whenever I get to these stories, these haunted stories, these stories like this where something freaky went on, and then you could just like go back to sleep. I get awake because I pee at the wrong time and I look at my phone for like 2.2 seconds. I'm wide awake and I can't go back to sleep.
I was awake at 3:30 this morning.
Oh shit.
Because I just I don't know. I woke up. And then I was like, well, I'm up now.
Guess I'm awake.
There's no way I would have gone to sleep if my dad was like, I'm in a beautiful place. What the fuck does that mean?
Right. I would have called back. That, like, the minute he hung up. Right?
He did try, right?
The next day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He didn't even try to call back until the next day.
Just like,
man, Carl is kind of a, I got suspicions.
Yeah. I mean, all alone.
He's a bit of a sociopath.
Yeah. Just a bit. We're making wild accusations on Carl.
That's all right. He's probably dead.
I know. Carl's like, it's cool. I'll call you guys later.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? Our phone rings tonight. It's Carl.
You're fucking talking
I heard
shit.
what you said, you motherfucker.
Can't the guy just go to a cottage and enjoy himself? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Carl the next day tried to call, but the phone could not make outgoing calls. Okay. So he's like, well, son of a bitch. And the one in the bedroom is the only phone.
It's like on this Victorian style phone. What do you dial 9? Like
Oh my God. And it only goes up to 5. Why? No, I'm just kidding. So he woke up. Oh, you're right. He did try to call. The one in the bedroom was the only phone in the cottage. Okay, so he did go back to sleep. He couldn't make outgoing calls. Again, that would still, like, I would still be like, like, how?
He gives up too fast.
He gave up way too fast. Because I'm like, if it could take calls, why can't it? And wouldn't there be like a dial tone? I almost forgot what it was called.
Oh my God. Yeah, because we don't have those anymore.
Yeah. So like if you pick up the phone and it was dead, immediately it'd be like, well, how did I get a phone call? I would have been up, lamp on. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if there's a cabin in the woods, like, and you have no working phone, like, I'm sorry, but what if, like, isn't there a caretaker or something?
Yeah.
You need to get a hold of somebody. What if, I don't know.
What if something happens and there's
I need extra towels.
Right. Exactly. You know?
Who do I call?
Right. Like, I have muddy boots from grave digging. Can I get extra towels? Again. So the next morning, I can only imagine he got his coffee, he's listening to the birds chirp, and then he went into town and called from a phone booth. Remember those diseased little monsters?
Oh, yes, and every single one smelled like piss.
Oh, bleh. Anyways, So his relatives answered and said his mom was too upset to come to the phone because his mom, in the middle of the night, witnessed his father having a heart attack in bed the previous
Ugh.
evening. And he passed away at 11:15 p.m. Like if this, I mean, I have my doubts with like a lot of these phone calls, but honestly, if this was real, how sweet of the dad to be like, dude, your mom needs you to call her. Like she's having a moment and I'm in a beautiful meadow and I can't help.
Right.
Like imagine like,
Yeah.
oh well
Like
shit.
that is really sweet
Yeah.
if that's what happened. I mean, also Carl might have just found some mushrooms in the woods. Who knows?
So Carl packed up, and when he was packing, he realized that the phone next to his bed was ornamental. It was actually a music box. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a banana.
Football phone.
Hello, hello.
It was a little kid phone. Oh my God. It was ornamental.
Dora the Explorer on it.
Right.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
Swiper, no swipey. That somehow translated to his dad.
Telefono. Can you say telefono?
Great.
Hola.
Oh my God. So
Oh
it was
my God.
ornamental. It was an ornamental Dora phone and was not connected to a phone line. So that is crazy. The next story, even crazier because I did not know this. It was the writer Dean Koontz.
Yes. This is wild.
Wild, because I did not know that Dean Koontz had any experiences at all. Like, actually, I haven't read a lot of his book. I need to read his new book lately, but he's
There's
like,
only one that I think it was called Intensity, and it was intense.
Oh
Very
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Intensity was like from the beginning to end intense.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really good. And actually, I saw the made for TV movie and they were accurate to the book.
Oh, really?
It was very good.
No, actually, I'm not going to watch it.
No, don't. I'm like, no,
I remember the book being so intense that I would have to stay up late just to kind of like get to a breathing spot. You know what I mean? Where like it's so that I could go to sleep. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like unlike Carl, I'm not just a completely unbothered sociopath.
Not a cold, dead monster, unfeeling monster inside that can't tell between a real phone and a toy phone. Anyways, again, we are just ripping on Carl on this episode.
Poor Carl. He's probably a lovely human being. But I'm sorry, you know what? If you spend your free time in a cabin in the woods and you think people aren't going to question your moral character, that's on you.
That is. You're not socially aware of what's acceptable of a male and not acceptable. And one thing that I think falls into not acceptable is going to the cabins alone with no phone.
Yes. Agreed.
So sorry, Carl, but that doesn't mean that you need to call any of us today.
We will not be answering the phone.
We will not be answering the phone. Okay, so Dean Koontz, 1988, he was working at his office and the phone began to ring. And he thought, oh, it must be important because only a select few had his number. Okay.
Which, humble brag. I'm sorry. Right? But yeah, to slip that in, come on.
He's Dean Koontz, the Walmart Stephen King. I'm kidding. He's good.
Very
He's
talented writer. Very, very talented writer.
Great writer.
But also, come on.
But also, only if select.
Only in select few people have my thumb in the mirror.
Oh my God.
Do you think I'm in the book? I'm not.
So, Dean Koontz and his special phone rang, and so he answered it, and it was crackling and staticky. And finally, a female voice said, "Please be careful." And of course, he's like, who is this? What's going on? He's asking all these questions. She ignores it, doesn't say anything. and just kept saying, please be careful. Okay. And Koontz thought she sounded like his grandma, but that couldn't be because she had been dead for 20 years. That sounds like such a cliche, right?
Yeah, like that whole movie cliche of like, wait, what do you mean? There's no old lady there. There was only an old lady who died 25 years ago. Oh, God.
So he shrugs it off. And then 2 days later, he's visiting his father at a care home. And it feels like his father might have been suffering for dementia or some kind of mental illness because
schizophrenia or dementia or something. Yeah.
His father became agitated and armed himself with a fishing knife. And there was a struggle, and Dean Koontz, disarmed him. And just as he grabbed the knife, of course, the police came, and as he's holding the knife, and the officers are pointing their guns at him, thinking he was the one that was attacking his dad.
Right. And because you don't really expect the old man to be attacking the guy who's now armed with a fishing knife.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that would be like a dicey situation to be in. So I think, so for some reason, as he's holding this knife, that phone call pops in his head like, please be careful. And he dropped the knife and backed away, remembering that phone call from what he thinks is his grandma. But he said, he said that if he hadn't remembered that, he would have started walking towards the cops with the knife in his hand. And what kind of male privilege fucking cuckoo audacity is that? Like, I'm sorry, you think you can just walk towards a cop with a knife in your hand? Like, what are you thinking? You said it though, because I guarantee you, if Dean Koontz was a minority, there is absolutely, you would drop it, not even
immediately. Hands in the air behind your head.
Immediately. But he is not. He's Dean Koontz with selected few who know his phone number.
Right.
Debbie.
Do you know who I am? I'm imagining, wasn't it Gwyneth Paltrow? Who was, or no, it was somebody, I can't even remember who it was. It was some white blonde celebrity Reese Witherspoon. Yeah, there you go, talking to the police. Do you know who I am? I'm Dean fucking Koontz. You don't have my office number. Nobody does.
You're not special.
You don't know me.
Oh man, Carl and Dean in this episode. We are just
dragging everybody.
Dragging in 2024. I'm just gonna keep saying everything in 2024. So that was his experience. But yeah, you're right. Like, he would have probably, I guess what I can imagine is if he's taking the knife out and saw the cops, he would have been like, no, like, and started talking with the knife.
Pointing with the knife. Just like, now look here, you don't understand. This isn't what it looks like.
This guy, as he's pointing his dad with the
gesturing
knife.
Wildly with a knife in his hand.
Do you know who I am? As he's like, oh my God. So, but then here's another one. Phone calls can go another way. This was hilarious. So far we've had dead people call.
Is this the AT&T one?
Yes.
Oh my God, this was my favorite. This was absolutely my favorite story, and I will tell you why after. I fucking love this one. Okay,
because excuse me, the first one is like, okay, the dead person calls the living person, but a living person calls a dead person, and okay, Debbie,
you can't get Dean Koontz's office number, but you can get a dead person's number on the other side,
on the fucking
direct line to the other side
from a call center. Okay, what kind of machine? I mean, you and I worked at a call center.
We did, and this is exactly what I was picturing while I was listening to this. Oh God, okay, just go ahead and tell it. Like, I swear to God, this one is my favorite.
So in 1985, poor Mary was attempting to close a sales call in Pennsylvania. She was speaking to an older woman, Mrs. B, and she was the wife of the homeowner that she had called. And Mary is selling like a phone line, like basically
Phone
like
plans, yeah.
switch
Like
phone plans,
AT&T
right?
or whatever, yeah.
Right. So Mary did her sales spiel and she thought she was going to close the sale, but then Mrs. B was like, "No, like my husband's not going to want to change providers. We've been with AT&T, blah blah blah." And Mary asked to speak with him, but he was unavailable because he had recently retired and was always out fishing. And
Fishing.
Mary, yeah, fishing. And Mary agreed to call them back and they basically set a time and date like, "Hey, call back on
Yeah,
this
like an
time." And
appointment to say like because Mary or not Mary, but the older woman who she was talking to,
Mrs.
Mrs.
B.
B, said that they weren't happy with their current service, which is exactly what Mary wanted to hear. She was so excited. Poor Mary thought, like, this is the sale
Yeah,
I've been waiting for, right?
exactly. And we all know when you finally close a sale. I mean, I don't know. Have you worked telemarketing before?
No. Well, oh, wait. Yeah, I think I did as a temp job, but yeah, it was like cold calling
For like
for
a
a
day.
realtor or something like that. It was
Yeah,
terrible.
I never sold anything, but I did those ungodly surveys.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever ate at Church's Chicken?
Yeah, I didn't do sales. I like set appointments.
Oh, okay. I did that, and remember when you used to get Disney videos and they would have a survey in there? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so they would fill it out, but sometimes they would miss things on the survey that was like essential. So
Oh,
I would
wow.
call and be like, "Hey, we got
What
your
a
survey
random
thing."
job.
It was a weird job, but I mean, it put me through college. So, anyways, because at first I was calling people and then I was just typing the surveys in, and that was a dream because I didn't have to talk to anybody. So Mary was like ready to just seal the deal following night because she was going to talk to the husband and like,
Yeah.
convince him.
They set the
So
appointment. They were ready to go.
exactly. They were ready to go. She was going to close that motherfucking deal. Now they called and she was happy because he answered. And she identified herself like, "Hey, I'm Mary, blah, blah, blah." And then, of course, the man got annoyed and stated that he did not appreciate getting calls to sell him something. And Mary, of course, was used to it. And she's like, "Sorry, but there must have been a understanding. I spoke to your wife and
Right.
she set this appointment up for me to call back." And then there was silence on the phone. And he became very angry and said he was not home the night before because he was at his wife's funeral.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Mary didn't make the sale. Spoiler alert.
Could you imagine how pissed he was? Like, so mad. Like, not only is this telemarketer, but you were just at your wife's funeral. Now, here's the thing I love about the story is because either, like, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but in my mind, either it's real, right? And you can't escape telemarketers even when you're dead.
Right?
Or it wasn't the truth and he lied about his wife being dead to get out of a sales call.
Oh,
In which
Debbie,
case, he's my hero. And I
did
can't
not.
tell which is the better option.
Okay, but I was thinking that Mary should have been a better salesman and be like, "I cannot believe your phone service." Then I would be calling this number and get some other person, and clearly there was a mix up on the line. Like that means your phone service. Like I would have just kept going.
You would have used it. Yeah.
I would have used it to say, "How terrible that you got a sales call the day after your wife's funeral. Like, what kind of phone company are you using?"
Oh my God. This is kind of random, but so my grandmother believed in like psychics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she had like a psychic that she would go to. And we would get her, like, after she died, we'd get her psychics like flyers and like mail like like, oh, can't wait to tell you what's coming up for you in the next year, and like blah blah blah. And we're like, girl, I got news.
Oh wow, they should not be sending those. That is
my
stupid.
parents were so mad. And you know my mom, so of course she wrote her like some horrible,
Are you serious?
letter. Oh yeah, of course.
Like, you fucking suck as a psychic. What the
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
That's so. It's like that story of Louis C.K. after, was it his mom died? Oh no, it's Bill Burr. And then they sent him like a survey, like how was the stay? Like was it comfortable? And he's just like, what? And it was for his mom.
Oh.
Yes, it was addressed to his mother, and was like asking like, how was your stay?
Oh,
And it's like,
man.
bad.
Right. Turns out I died.
Turns out I'm gone. So this is when they were talking about like, so most of these phone calls like obviously can be doubted because like there's no evidence of the phone call. Like you said, there's no bill. There's only one person on the line. There's really no other witnesses listening to these phone calls. And but they're saying that the phone call in some cases they think isn't actually taking place. That
Yeah, it's just manipulating the line or whatever.
The line. Like clearly that's what happened to Carl. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, because
assuming Carl didn't just eat mushrooms in the woods. Yes.
I was gonna say, it sounded like maybe, because obviously he wasn't worried enough that, like, that sounds like passing out, right? Not being worried enough that your dad just called, the phone doesn't work, and he passes out. Like, something's up.
Although that is a pretty big even if he didn't actually get the phone call, it is a pretty big coincidence though that he came home and like it turns out, oh, dad died.
Dad,
you know
died.
What I mean?
Right. For sure.
Yeah, like here's the thing though. I really I do believe that in the early like hours after somebody passes, or like in the first couple of days or whatever, I do think that there is like that their energy is more present in the world than it is later.
Right. Like a lingering, that's what they say. Like one of the traditions is like if somebody dies, you open up your windows and doors or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
It's like there's like a tradition in the Philippines and other countries that I know of, that if like somebody dies, especially like, and it sounds like more of like, you live in like a very small village.
Yeah.
That if somebody dies, you open all your windows and doors and, and just let things flow, which understandable,
Yeah.
Like if there's an energy or a consciousness leaving a body, but for it to manipulate, I mean, I don't know. Who can say, like, if we're talking energy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the only thing I can think of when I think of ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, I told you about, like I really believe that Sherry came to me when she died.
Yes.
As absolutely. A butterfly. Which, I'm a very, I told you, I'd never had anything supernatural or weird or anything even quinky dink happen to me like that.
Yeah.
So that was like a super big deal. Yeah. And that was literally right after she died.
Yeah.
I didn't even know she had died yet.
Yeah.
So that was like really wild. So like, I do think that there is, presence right after somebody goes, but I don't know. I feel like there's so much inconsistency in the way that people experience it. And I'm wondering, like, so do you guys get choices? Like, is there a communicate with the living package plan?
Right.
I'll take 2 butterflies and a phone call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also, I would believe it more so if it was an experience that actually wasn't a phone call, that it was manipulated in some way. But I don't know. At the same time, it just seems like a lot. Whereas I feel like, an energy going into something else, like a butterfly, it feels like that would be a natural, not
Yeah, that's what
natural.
I
I
was just gonna
mean,
say. It seems more natural, and I don't know why I believe that. I don't know anything, obviously, but
yeah, we
like,
don't.
but
It
a
just
phone call
feels,
just it does seem like a lot,
it's,
right? That seems like this. We're so lazy afterwards. Like,
like,
that seems like a lot. I'm not
mean,
gonna. I mean, I'll show up. If a butterfly's nearby, maybe I'll possess it and say hi. But I'm not gonna like manipulate the energy to make a
right. Like, I
phone
feel
call.
like it would be so difficult. Like, I don't know. I mean, it does feel extra as a spirit.
Could you imagine being Mr. B and like if you believed Mary, right? You'd be like,
Hmm.
God damn it, Mrs. B trying to spend money even after she's dead. God, she's
What if
so gullible talking to this goddamn
what if
like
their last argument was literally about changing the
phone plan.
phone plan, and she just to fuck with him, just to fuck with him, was like,
Oh God.
yes. Like,
Could you imagine? Like, I think about these old ladies who like call into like QVC, like the home shopping network all the time.
oh
Like,
my
what if
God.
that's their last phone call?
Oh my God. Like, what if, how, like, there's this thing about, like, you don't know like, a lot of people, when they get into car crashes, they see themselves. Like, they don't realize they're
Yeah.
dead. It's very like Ghost. Remember when he kept running after the guy that killed him? And
Oh
then
yeah,
he
yeah.
runs back and he's on the, like, so I wonder, like when you talk about the QVC, like, if they die in the middle of calling.
There have been so many home shopping network shows, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're on hold and shit a lot. Like somebody had to have died
Uh,
either on a
no.
phone call or on hold with QVC. In all these
Right.
years, you can't tell me that didn't happen.
Right? Oh, I
Because the
think
people who call in are all
absolutely.
elderly anyway.
Yes, for real.
Could you
And
imagine
also,
like St. Peter's calling me, hang on, Peter, please. Hang on, I'm on the phone with QVC. They're gonna put me on the air. The leggings are half off.
right, right. This lady's brooch. I want this brooch because I like the fucking shit they sell sometimes. Like, but yeah, like, or what if, like, when you die and, like, they keep going, they think they're on the actual phone call and that they're really ordering, or they're just on hold. Oh my God, they're
They're just
perpetually
on
on
hold.
hold
Oh my god, forever.
forever.
Oh, ugh. Just
Oh,
listening to some instrumental of Peter Gabriel or some shit like for the rest of your fucking life. Oh
fucking
my
instrumental
god.
of Gloria. Na 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 na. What the fuck? How long have I been on hold?
in it.
Oh my! I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Gloria's a fucking good song. I just heard it. That's why I just heard it when I went to Ralph's earlier. I could not stop singing. I put it on my karaoke list. I'm like, why haven't I karaoke Gloria? That girl is so passionate when he's singing. She's singing.
That is, you know what? Honestly, I love the soundtracks now at CVS, Rite Aid,
It
grocery
is
store.
now my life soundtrack. Like, I can't help it sometimes. Like, I'll just start singing. Brad's like, "Oh my God, stop." I'm
I
like,
Drew does the same thing, but I'm mostly singing like TikTok
yeah.
shit.
It truly is the addiction. Oh my God, I love it so
You know
much.
what? That's gonna be my afterlife. I'll just be scrolling on TikTok, and
I
I'll
wouldn't
just
mind
be
that.
right. I'll just be scrolling for all eternity because I don't know I'm dead.
You know what happened one time? I fell asleep in the middle of a TikTok, and it just kept replaying, and it
Oh
literally
God, yeah.
wormed its way into my dream.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, was like, what the fuck? And I woke up and it just, oh shit, it had been playing over and over, and it ended up being in my dream. I forgot what it was about. It was some guy talking about some conspiracy theory, of course.
Oh, Jesus.
So I
Oh,
actually looked up a couple more phone calls
do
on the
tell.
internet because I'm like, these are so interesting to me. And then I wanted to pick two that was not like the same. So for example, there's a woman, she was traveling to Nebraska, and the entire time she's traveling back to Nebraska, it was her home's like going home. A strange object in the sky was following her for 2 hours, okay? And when she got
Okay.
home, she got home, her phone rang, and there was a man on the other line with a metallic voice, and
Mm-hmm.
he was saying it was Roger. And she's like, I don't know a Roger. And he's like, well, I'm your brother. And she's like, wrong number. I don't have a
Oh,
brother.
yeah, no,
Oh,
this was
this
in
was
that
on
too.
there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, okay. So yes, this was on there. And that she found out later that she did have a brother. That her mom had a stillborn, was it a stillborn baby?
Yeah, yeah.
And had he survived, his name would have been Roger.
Roger. Here's
Roger.
what's weird about that to me though, is like,
What's with the thing following her for 2 hours? What did that imply?
yeah, like what was that about? Number one. Number two, Roger's a little creepy to me. That's a little creepy. Cause like, did you stick around the earth and like watch your sister grow up or something? And
I
now like
know,
you're
right?
like I got a lot of family that I haven't talked to in a long time. And like if they just called me out of the blue, I'd be like,
Why?
why?
Right. Why does Roger, I feel like Roger has beef with Mary. Like, why are you calling her suddenly as an
Yeah, it
adult?
this sounds weird.
It does
Like
sound weird.
mom and dad liked me best. Like, what is he doing? This
Yeah.
seems
It's
like
too
older
late for
sibling bullying. Don't do that.
yeah.
Don't
This
call me
is
from beyond the grave.
exactly like this there's no otherworldly sibling rivalry, okay? I'm
Yeah, and
alive.
like, what are you sending your aliens to like scare me?
Right.
I don't like Roger.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It
I
it
know
seems
he
weird.
was just a baby, but I don't care. I don't think he was a good person.
Yeah. And they were making it like it was heartwarming. But I just even
No,
if
it's
it
creepy.
was, it is creepy. Even if it was heartwarming, the metallic voice just throws me off. I know we're like giving them some space and like grace because they're calling from another parallel universe.
Not
However,
Roger. No,
no,
I'm
no,
down
no.
for shit talking Roger.
You know what was on our shit list today? That is
Roger,
Carl,
fucking
Dean,
Carl.
fucking Roger. Because guess what? The only person that showed up with Brandy and was straight up a homegirl, ride or die chick was Bonnie McConnell. Okay?
Bonnie. Yeah,
Bonnie
I'm
McConnell.
down for Bonnie.
Down for Bonnie. Bonnie
Yep.
McConnell was going to see Enid and was
Bonnie
giving her
forever.
Brandy. Bonnie forever. Okay, so this is the other story. This is from Reddit, by the way. Reddit has a whole thread, of course,
Oh,
of
of
people
course they
getting
do.
phone
Yeah.
calls. And a lot of them are just like, whatever. But these are the two that I thought was interesting. So it said this happened to my older brother Matt about a year ago, just a few weeks after my eldest brother Jeremy's best friend Joe died of a heart problem. So
Okay.
Matt, okay,
Matt, Jeremy, Joe. Okay.
right. So Joe died of a heart problem. So
Right.
Matt received a telephone call from a person that sounded exactly like Joe. And he said, Matt, it's Joe. Is Jeremy home? Something really strange is going on. So Matt freaked out and could hardly answer and said, no, he's not. Sorry. And then the phone hung up. And Matt looked at the caller ID and it read, out of area. You think?
A little out of area.
So Matt tried star 69. Oh, remember star 69?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So he tried star 69ing, but they were unable to trace the call. and they never got another phone call from Joe. This really hit me hard because poor Joe.
Poor Joe's confused. That's
Joe,
sad. He's really confused. Oh,
and he's
poor
calling his
Joe.
best friend. Like
Oh, he's like,
some,
bro, help.
and
Oh,
where is
buddy.
he? Where is he?
I mean, he's
Ugh.
lost. He's in
He's in,
between.
yeah, he's with the 1800s ghosts. Fuck, Joe, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Victorian child died of a flu ghost.
poor
He
Joe.
he went into the wrong waiting room. Oh, Joe, I hope you're out. He's just like making a phone call.
Shout out to Joe.
Oh, that kills me. That one I hope really isn't true. Okay, here's another one.
I choose to believe that Enid helped him pass over.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
would okay, Enid did. Enid did. I'm gonna say yes. This is another one. My dad passed away in 2016 when I was 14. And he had a Samsung phone, and I thought when I was younger that it was super cool. So when he died, I was given the phone. I took the SIM card out and hid it in my bedroom drawer, and no one knew where it was. A couple days after he died, I was out in the park on my own, killing time before my guitar lesson. Really specific.
That person really wants people to know that they play the guitar.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Did they link like, their Spotify or something? Like,
Here's my SoundCloud.
oh no.
So so it was killing time before my guitar lesson. It's like that, like the slick vegan, right?
Oh
The
God.
slick vegan mention. Anyways, I'm messing around on the phone when I get a call. Dad, it says on the screen. I froze. I was so confused about it. I answered the call and I heard heavy breathing and static. This went on for 10
Oh.
seconds, then the call ended. I was so frightened and confused that I called my guitar teacher and canceled the lesson.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I can't. Oh God.
Debbie
Why?
rolled her eyes.
Jesus.
You know why? Because it's like every time I see a guy in public with a guitar, I'm like, how no, sir, do not start singing right now. Sir, we're at a Wendy's. Do not.
Oh my
Fucking sing.
God.
So anyways, so he sprinted home to see if somebody had taken the SIM card and tried to play a sick joke on him. The SIM card was still in his room, and the only other people that lived with him at the time were his sisters and his grandma, and they were all out. But they all went out before I did and were still not home. Also, we had not told his network provider he had died. So there's no way the number had been given out to someone else. Even if it had, how would they have my number?
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
If the caller ID showed up as dad, that wouldn't be his dad. That would be his grandpa.
What? No. It wasn't the phone that his dad gave him. It was because he took the SIM card out.
No, okay.
So
But
he took the SIM card and probably put his own SIM card. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
Right. So it is his dad. And that's why he was like, did somebody take the SIM card, put it on another phone, and called him?
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was thinking that he took the SIM card out and just kept the phone as a souvenir.
I think that he took the SIM card
But I understand
out.
what you're saying.
Right.
Like, okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. So regardless, it says here. Okay. And then so when his sisters came home and I told him what happened, my youngest sister tells me she got the same exact call. We showed each other our call logs, and there it was, Dad in the logs.
Whoa.
We both got the same call just a few minutes apart. That one was pretty fucking like, whoa. I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I mean, if he took
that is really crazy.
If he had not taken the SIM card out of the phone, I could almost be like, okay, well maybe like it was a butt dial, or you put it somewhere and something fell on top of it and called.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. So that one was crazy, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting the detail that they hadn't canceled the service yet, so it's not like somebody could have called from that number.
Exactly. I know
Interesting.
it's weird because I still have Dwin's phone number in my phone.
Oh,
Um
uh-huh.
and I go on TikTok and somebody has his phone number and they have an account called Mr. Poopy Butt.
Oh my God, Dwin would have loved that.
Oh my God, he
Oh,
would have loved that.
he is thrilled.
He is so thrilled because it's probably, I feel like it's like a little 13-year-old boy or something, like a teenage boy, because
Oh,
it says you may know these people. And you know how the
yeah, yeah,
TikTok will
yeah.
show you that?
Right.
And then it said like Dwin or whatever, and it's all Mr. Poopy Butt. Like
Twin is rolling.
Mr. Poopy
He's thrilled.
Butt.
He's thrilled with that.
I know.
You know
That's
he
ex
is.
that's absolutely what he wants to have his phone be, Mr. Poopy Butt.
That is
So
phenomenal.
that's as paranormal as my brother got with me.
Oh
So
my God.
what, I know you've seen bedtime stories before. What did you particularly think of this episode?
I this so again, the thing that I like about bedtime stories is really what shines through in this episode, which is that juxtaposition of things that are like absolutely absurd and chaotic and hilarious, and that very serious British accent, the very like, straight laced tone.
And the undercurrent, the soundtrack, whoa, it's just like it
Yes.
sets the tone. So serious.
And then, and then it'll say something like, she couldn't possibly answer the phone in front of me. She could not do that duty. She had foodstuffs on her fingers.
And Carl, the holiday maker. What? These are all like, I listened and watched a lot of British everything. I have never heard of the term foodstuffs or holiday maker.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the term foodstuffs, but definitely not in that context.
Yeah,
Um, and I've never heard the term holiday maker.
yeah.
That seems there's a lot of odd wording choices that
I
go into
wonder
these episodes.
I wonder if he made up some stuff to like impress the Americans and be like, look it, they're gonna totally think this is a word.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, full circle.
Yeah,
The book that I was talking about before,
yeah.
Unreliable Narrator. For fun, she'll make up a word and slip it into her conversations. And she says she like 90% of the time she never gets called on it. Nobody
Dude,
wants to admit that they don't know the word.
right? Oh my God, I'm gonna do that. No, I feel like that's what he did. I feel like that's what he did.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, let me think of like a supposed British word, and they'll probably believe it.
Maybe he just thought it was a clever term.
A holiday maker, a
Holiday
holiday
maker.
maker. So what is your ultimate like theory about these phone calls? Do you think it has happened even once?
I, you know, I have a hard time believing the actual like verbal part. Like making a phone ring already sounds, like you said, like a lot of work. Let's just say of on the scale of I don't believe it at all to that's like totally makes a lot of sense to me. This is like a 2. Like
Okay.
I'm pretty skeptical. I would have to see it, experience it, or hear from somebody that
Yeah.
I know for a fact is credible. Even Dean
Yes.
Koontz, I'm sorry, he might have an exclusive office phone number, but he is not a credible source to me.
I mean, I'm kind of on the same boat here because of the fact that anybody could say they got a phone call. Since you can't get a record of it, like, it's just hard to, how do you separate from
Right.
legit to not legit? Like if phone calls were a thing, like if ghostly phone calls were something that was like something that actually happened, I would think that they would start utilizing, a phone during ghost hunts, or, they have.
You know what? That is actually a very good point, because they specifically choose methods, right, that are sort of reliable. And if there are so many instances of this, you would think that they would put that out as an option. You'd also
Right.
think there would
But
be by
you've
now some
noticed.
recording of it.
Exactly. Right, right, right. And the thing is, like, when you look at the ghost hunting play, whatever tools they have, it's always easy to manipulate, because I think they know, or in general, like the summoning of energy, if that's exactly what ghosts are doing, is hard. So turning on
Yeah.
that flashlight is easy, because they just have to summon up a little bit of energy to kind of tap the flashlight, and it could answer them. It's
Yeah.
always something easy. A phone call seems extra and hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You know those lamps that you just touch with your finger and they turn on,
yeah.
right? It's not
Yeah.
even a switch. You just literally
Yeah.
touch it. That's what I think. That's the level of energy I think I'm going to have in the afterlife. Let me just like
Exactly.
ghostly brush up against something. Don't make me go all the way with a phone call. Make it
Right.
ring and like wait
No.
for you to, wash the foodstuffs off your hands,
Right? And then
come
try
to the
to
phone and then
figure out,
talk to you.
right? Try to
Ugh.
figure out how vocal cords work in the parallel universe. Like, how do we do this in the spiritual
Is it like a
universe?
harp? Do you strum it? Like, what's happening here?
How do
Is it like a
yeah, no.
kazoo?
You're gonna be fucked though, because that lamp, I haven't seen that kind of lamp since like
Yeah,
the
that's
80s.
true. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know whatever happened to
What?
those lamps. They were probably
I was
dangerous. Who
gonna say.
knows?
Oh yeah. I'm like, those were ideal. Remember clap on?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't see
that
those
was,
anymore either.
yeah, those were so great. I would clap on, clap off as a show to you that I'm there. I would clap on, clap off
I'll
TV.
knock something over that's already on the edge of a counter.
Right
That's
there.
about as far as I can.
I'm gonna be a spiritual cat.
Right.
Just occasionally rub up against you, maybe purr a little, knock something off of a counter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Just to
feel
let
like,
you know, like, I'm still an asshole. Like,
right.
still just the same old asshole.
Honestly, I can't imagine a pressing enough problem for me to summon up an energy. Like maybe goodbye. Like the first, like you said, first 24 hours. Like if I feel like I haven't said a good, decent
Yeah.
goodbye, I could definitely summon. But like years from now, like for example, like if my brother's still around, I'm not gonna bother him.
Right. Like same. I hope that all of my past loved ones are enjoying the multiple universes. Like I hope that they are having fun skipping around through space and time.
Absolutely.
I think the only thing that I would really want to come back long enough for is just to tell people that it's okay.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
that it's all right. Like that I know you're sad, but it is fine.
Right. It's
You
all
know.
good. I'm in a good place and whatever.
Yeah.
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 I think I can sum it up, but to just like, or like when people like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. Like, some people are like, can you show me a sign or whatever? But I feel like
That's kind
why
of
are
selfish.
yeah, like why are you like he could be in the middle of something.
See, I think this is why Ouija boards get demons, because it's very demanding, right? Like, who are you getting? It's like you're not going to get the cream of the crop. They're busy.
No.
They're doing shit.
Right.
Move your fucking Ouija board. No.
Right. Ouija
That's how
board
you
is
get
like,
demons.
exactly. That's like emailing like random, Serbian princes who tell you that you're going to win $1 million if you just give them $500. Like it's the same thing. It's like you're calling the low of the low, the scam artists.
You're
through Ouija
basically
boards.
it's like you're asking for catfishing from the dead.
Exactly. Like openly. I don't understand. Again, Ouija boards, I will never understand. But you did. Good.
There are people though, like I would trust my aunt and my grandma. So like they would, because they liked that shit. That would be fun for them. They'd be like, "Oh, thank God, finally somebody got out the Ouija board."
Are you kidding?
That my grandma and my aunt for sure. My grandma Lottie used to be like, Cheryl, come here. They got out the Ouija board finally. Jesus Christ.
What's a girl gotta do to talk to some spirits around here? But like, I would love to watch, but I wouldn't even want to be in the room. I would want to like, can you guys
with
Zoom?
A Ouija board?
I would want to watch, but I don't know.
I mean, I understand. It doesn't weird me out that bad, but I get it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? After all the stories.
After all the stories, I don't, like I told you, like nothing bad is ever, like I said, I come from very witchy people, and it's just not passed down. Yeah. I don't believe enough in my ability to communicate with the other side to really feel like I'm ever in any danger with a Ouija board.
I see. All right. Well, thank you for being my first episode.
Thank you for inviting me.
In season 3, you're going to get a lot more of Debbie and Joey, occasional guests, but I'm changing the format just a bit to just have more paranormal and less interview type things, because I'm just not an interviewer. I'm not Jimmy Fallon. I just want to get to the ghost stuff right away, but also when I have guests, I don't want to be rude and jump into the ghost stuff right away. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So, yeah. I'm still really, like, as much as I get out in public, I'm still socially awkward about new people. Like, I'm like, ooh, is this
like a phone call from the dead? It's a lot.
Thank you. That's a great way to wrap it up. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me once again. And don't forget to subscribe and rate. That would be a great late Christmas present to me. And don't forget to join Ko-fi. All this stuff is going to be in the description, all the links. Okay? So I will see you next Friday. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wait, What Are You Watching? This podcast was produced, edited, researched, and hosted by me, Elaine Cheney. I would really appreciate it if you could help me continue to create and grow by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. See you next week.